our quarterback guru, George Whitfield. Another guy in Gator Blue out here in Tallahassee. You've worked with Jameis Winston, the Elite 11. You get all the top high school quarterbacks together. Talk about the physical development and the mental development you've seen in a pretty short time from this guy.
Well, there's only about 2 or 3 short years ago, Jameis was wiry to the point I was really wondering out loud, how would he be able to hang in there against the upper level competition that's recruiting him? You know, he's about 6'2", 6'3", 185, 190 pounds. Now, he still had all the physical tools, but he didn't have the armor he has today.
But you saw right away that he was that kind of alpha mentality. He was doing impressions of the coaches after being there a day, kind of just taking charge in the group.
First day, and I mean, again, Elite 11 is like American Idol for quarterbacks. These kids work all year to get there. They're in LA. First day, half of those guys are pretty nervous and shell-shocked to be there. We left as a staff. We come back. He's doing an impersonation of Trent Dilfer up front, and he's nailing it. And then 30 minutes later, though, he had that serial killer mentality. He's icy, he was cold, and he was right out there, and he was going to work in 30 minutes.
I don't know about you guys. I don't know if I've ever seen a freshman take control the way he does, and the fact that the seniors respond to him. You know, he purposely, when they played Clemson in Death Valley, we're sitting here wondering how's he going to handle the adversity and the climate. He sprinted off the field after stretch as the team was getting ready to go into the locker room, and he did that intentionally so he could dap up every single guy that was coming off the field. He didn't want to miss one guy, so he had to sprint to be the first one there. You don't hear anybody do that, let alone a freshman. And when he talked to that team before the game, they listened to him like he's a 4th or 5th year guy. The intangibles are off the charts with this guy.
You're 100% right. It's really encouraging the amount of respect they have for him as a young player, as a redshirt freshman. The way he spoke to them before the Clemson game, I think that it just told us everything we need to know. I think when you look at Jameis, though, he's playing with an all-star cast. And he's benefiting from that, too. I mean, if you take Jameis Winston, I don't want to be Desmond Downer, but listen, if you take Jameis Winston and you put him in Gainesville with that offensive line and the problems that they've had there, we're not talking about him right now. We're not talking about him for the Heisman or anything, even though he has such great talent. So
I think we're still talking about
wide receivers who are going to be playing on Sundays, 3 running backs who have an opportunity to play on Sundays, and probably 4 linemen who will be drafted too.
I think we're still talking about him. We may not be saying as much and talking about it as often.
Well, we wouldn't be talking about his team.
Quarterbacks in college. We have so many quarterbacks to talk about in college football. Trust me.
Yeah. Big reason why he chose Florida State. He said no to Nick Saban. He comes from Bessemer, Alabama, right down the road from the Crimson Tide campus, but he came here great surrounded by talent to be able to start as a freshman. You guys will have cameras in the locker room again tonight before the game to hear what Winston has to say.
That pregame.
He dunked the ball as a kid, right? So he doesn't have feeling in the ring finger of his throwing hand. He's kind of had to learn to throw with 4 fingers. Very interesting.
I never had that problem when I dunked as a kid. Did you?
Speaking
I
of kids,
understand a little bit of that. I
got a lot of young quarterbacks around the country, not just Winston. If you look at the AP top 10 teams, go back to 06, and then the quarterbacks who are freshmen or sophomores starting, you can see it didn't happen very often. It was 6, 7, 8 years ago. But look at the last couple years. 6 in 2012. You got currently 3 freshmen or sophomores in the AP top 10. You got young guys all around the country. Texas Tech, Mayfield and Davis Webb, both freshmen. They suffered their first loss. You got Matty Mock at Missouri lighting things up. You got Tennessee now out of necessity. You know,
Joshua Dobbs.
Dobbs going to start for the first time. Why are we seeing so many young guys emerge quickly?
One, the infusion of 7-on-7 football. The ball is in their hands. They're having to make decisions at such a young age, and the craze is taken off. Secondly, grassroots coaching. It's become more liberal. Used to be when you're a youngster, toss to him or hand off to him, or let's run a little option is how crazy we'll get. Now coaches are spreading the ball out and they're throwing it. It's cool for coaches at the young grassroots age to watch their quarterback throw it 40, 50 times a game. That's huge. Lastly, they get football 24/7. Tablets, iPads, Xbox, they see it any given time, and it's around them. They have so much access to it, and it's just great for processing and development.
You know, I think the development of the quarterbacks is, to me, incumbent upon the receivers and the people they have around them too. I think that's so important because, number one, if you're a quarterback with immense talent, if your confidence isn't there, you know everything could go down quickly for those guys. So I think as a receiver, I will always tell a young quarterback, listen, don't feel as though you need to shoulder the load. You don't carry that burden. We're here to help you. And then if something happens, it's an interception, something, Kirk, come back, hey, don't worry about that. We'll get the next one. You got to keep the guy's spirits up and his confidence high.
Kind of like Des Bryant does, right? So the one thing about what you're saying is, when you watch the Elite 11, what you guys and Trent Dilfer, it's not just dropping back and guys having a competition throwing the football. They're going over like the safety, the Mike linebacker. The kids in high school now, because of the way the game is filtered down to high school football across the nation in 7-on-7, they understand coverage at 17 years old.
Yep.
When I was coming out of high school, you might understand cover 2 or cover 3, but these guys know complex systems at a high school, and a lot of them transfer from the high school system that they're running right into the college system. It's almost the same terminology, and it allows them to grow quicker with an understanding of scheme, an understanding of coverage, and running the same offense. We're seeing it universally.
Don't we see less complex systems than we used to, though? I mean, it's frankly easier to run a zone read than if you try to do a pro-style offense with all the terminology.
Everybody's back in a shotgun, and they're reading coverage, getting the ball out of their hands fast.
Dumbed it down for those guys.
Yeah. That's not going to change, though. Just a trend to be continued. Huh?
No, he's in good position.
It's only going to increase.
Job security is good for Blue here.
Amazing Blue, huh?
I saw that.
I'm just saying.
All right. Spirit today.